There was a big response to the Phil Anselmo Nazi whitewashing thing. There were far too many comments to get to. Some of them were completely inappropriate. I try to censor this shit as little as possible. I mean, there are some comments I try to approve that fucking YouTube just straight up won't let me. Mr. Belmont Kane says Phil is just a ball breaker and troll. He has been doing Nazi salutes for 30 years. He was practically the original dark humor edgelord. It's not serious, and anyone bitching about it needs a smack. Mr. Blonde says Phil said to beat up Dimebag and vaporizer him from existence. In Metal Hammer, just a month before Dime was murdered on stage by a deranged concert goer. This is not Pantera. It's Rex and Phil. Dimebag Daryl and Vinnie Paul were, are, and always will be Pantera. Really, he's referring to, of course, the Metal Hammer interview where Phil said something about like Dimebag needed to be beaten severely or whatever. And that interview is kind of the crux of why Vinnie Paul said he would never forgive Phil and shit like that. Listen, when you lose your brother in the way that Vinnie lost his brother, it's got to be such a raw nerve situation. I'm sure it was a raw nerve for him till his dying day. But to have this guy out there that advocated somebody fucking your brother up and then somebody comes out and murders your brother on stage, I could see the leap that Vinny took in kind of almost blaming Phil. But at the same time, how the fuck? I mean, Phil's a dude who just says shit. Once again, this goes back to the Nazi thing, the white wine power thing, the whole fucking deal. Phil Anselmo, just as the previous message said, it has a very dark humor. He is an edgelord. He's, some people say he's a douche. Some people say he's a dumb fuck. He just says shit. And for a large portion of his career, he's been addicted to opiates in one way or another. And who's never said dumb shit like that? Has anyone never been in a fight? You had a friend, something goes wrong. He fucks your girlfriend while you're out of town or whatever. And you're like, you know what? Fuck you, bro. Somebody should beat his ass. Or maybe you get someone and say, oh man, could you go beat this motherfucker's ass? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like that happens. And maybe you don't mean it. Maybe you're just mad in the moment. But if you're never going to forgive Phil for the dumb shit he said to Metal Hammer, really, are you that different than the person who refuses to forgive Phil for the dime bash? It's the same thing. You're like punishing someone infinitely for just some dumb shit they said. You could look at all this and say, man, Phil says a lot of dumb shit. He's a stupid asshole. I fucking hate him. And that would be reasonable. But at the same time, it's not, I don't think it's he should suffer for eternity. Next, my homie Wyanopo, whatever the fuck. It's not just Phil. I've seen shit where the metal media has gone after Dime for his Confederate flag on his guitar, and I guess he said the N-word, and I have no idea in what context. I mean, they even have a song in Vulgar, No Good, Attack the Radical, that is talking about how racism is bad, but they'll never mention that. You ask about the Dimebag N-word thing. It's another one of these stupid fucking things that people take out of context and they try to brand Dimebag forever. Dimebag was at an event. Think of like a NAMM sort of thing. And somebody brings him a guitar to autograph. And Dime had this rule that basically he wasn't going to sign your guitar unless you could shred. He wasn't just going to sign a motherfucker's guitar who doesn't play guitar because he wanted it for the fans. So Dimebag said and somebody caught him on camera. He said, if the N-word can't jam, he ain't getting something like that, something along those lines. But the guy he's referring to was another white dude. So I don't buy that shit. I don't believe that when you catch two white guys calling each other the N-word, That's not racism. What the fuck? It's just two people being stupid and fucking around. There's a lot of people who, and it could come from ignorance. And I don't mean deep hatred, racism type ignorance. I just mean generally not knowing how sensitive the situation is. So you do it. But yeah, he was clearly not saying anything that was pointed in a racist way. It's one of those things where just the simple existence of the word there is what automatically makes him a racist. And the song, several people refer to that song, and you can look up the lyrics. I'm not going to read it or anything like that, but that's a good example. Not only are there not racist Pantera lyrics, if anything, there's several anti-racism Pantera lyrics. My homie Fuzzy Bunny says Phil equals SCUM. Embarrassing human. Next, Sprinkled Donuts says you should have seen the whole video. He was being heckled. I've never seen the full Dimebag video, but several people have said that you can see the little moments where Phil is being heckled.
What? We were what? You're the man? You're the big mouth? Yeah, no shit. All right, you come up on this stage and say that to me to my face, and I'll say you're not conscious anymore, and I'll prove it.
Next, C-Jam Productions. As a minority, all I hear is white lives don't matter. Whites shouldn't exist. White people can't wear braids and literally get attacked. Okay. Whenever I read a message where it's like, as a minority, and dude, I really doubt, I can't fucking believe, when I hear that, I automatically think of like a white dude on the other side of that typing it out. You know what? Give my words some weight. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm a black guy. Or as a minority. Like, what are you, fucking Irish? I don't fucking know. But I couldn't get through your message. Listen, I truly am a minority. And I've never heard any of that stuff. At my monthly minority meeting, I've never heard white lives don't matter. Whites shouldn't exist. Next, my homie Mewtwo says, I like how he's trying to use examples from other people and metal music. You ever think that maybe they're racist too? And he continues, sounds like you're defending this. I'm not defending Phil Anselmo throwing a fucking Hitler salute and all that shit. I say that's fucking stupid. I say he deserved to get his ass kicked for that. But what I'm also saying is that he apologized and there's been no issues since. And it's been several years. So could you not forgive the motherfucker? Like if a guy, let's say he, in a moment, he goes ape shit. He fucking slaps his wife in the fucking face, right? That's fucked up. That's a fucked up thing to do. Let's say he goes to jail. You should go to fucking jail. Let's say, a couple days later he gets out and he's like, fuck man, I'm so sorry. And like years and years go by and he never shows any other occurrence of this. You could assume that he's a changed man. So, I mean, however you feel about the fucking Hitler salute, the white power, all that shit, regardless of how you feel about that, he apologized for doing it. There's been no other issues. So once again, is he to suffer indefinitely? I'm not defending what he did. I'm just saying, God damn, like, can we move past this shit? Next, my homie Justin Fantastic says, hey, all the peeps crying about racist, they're racist, bro. Rest of us don't think that way or see the world that way. Grow up, dude, and stop being a pansy. It does happen a lot of times when someone accuses another person of racist shit. Normally the person doing the accusation takes a lot of like leaps that make you say like, man, you've got racist shit in your brain. I've always felt, racism, that's a very heavy thing to throw at somebody. And I see a lot of people who throw it around very flippantly. And I think that's fucked up. Next, my homie Clayton Jones says, Phil don't give a fuck what people think. That's why he's doing the fucking tour. As for the reason, it's a fucking cash grab. taking advantage of this stupid generation that lives in the fucking 90s. Also, every fucking band that ever played is back on tour, whether the heart and soul is not even alive or not. I absolutely agree. It is a cash grab. But I also feel like, you know, it was an opportunity to play big venues and shit like that. And having seen the new show and having seen the old show with, of course, the Abbott brothers, not saying it's the same, but it's a really good fucking show. And it still stands up to pretty much anything I've seen recently in terms of live music. So if they can still fucking go like that, why not? Why would you not do this tour? And, you know, I felt a little weird because I didn't originally feel like they would go by Pantera. And it's weird to me that they are going by Pantera. But they have like little video breaks, you know, with tribute to the brothers and all that shit. And regardless of how you feel about Phil and Rex making this money, or Zach or Charlie or whoever the fuck, when you're an artist, like, you know, the way you can live forever, the greatest tribute to you is to continue to enjoy your art and to still put it out there. So I feel like this is something that, like, we're still caught up in issues of the living. You know, Vinny and Dime are gone, man. And this is the only way we keep that legacy alive. Because with this tour, I've gotten so many messages from younger people who were like, man, I never would have been able to see this before. And I know it's not the same thing, but it's as close as we're going to get. And that is in fact the case. Next, Dan Lagar says, Phil sucks. The one that ruined Pantera was Phil being a heroin junkie. Fuck Phil. If not for him, we would still have Dime and Vinny. He's out gaining profit of Pantera after he fucked it all up. I once again don't understand why anyone thinks that Phil Anselmo is the reason that Dimebag or Vinny died of natural fucking causes. Was Phil the one out there fucking forcing Vinny to live his life the way he lived it? I mean, that motherfucker lived it on 10. And he hung that motherfucker all the way into the grave. I respect him for it, but he died of natural causes. Phil had nothing to do with that. Someone said, well, he died of a broken heart. But I mean, you know, grow the fuck up. You know, and Dime, that's not Phil's fault that there's insane fucking idiots out there. Anyways, several people brought up that I said 2016 was almost 10 years ago. Dude, we're about to flip into 2024, so that's like 8-ish years. Yeah, even if you say 7, I mean, to me, 7 is near 10. I'm rounding up. I'm just saying, I said we were approaching the 10-year anniversary within a couple years. That sounds close to me, sir. Next, my homie Tuna Sardine says, it's true. Dude is running a cover band off the backs of the Abbott brothers. Dude is a racist prick. Here's the thing. Phil wrote those fucking songs. I understand musically the Abbott brothers were the engine of that band. But Phil wrote those fucking songs. It's not a cover band when you're singing your songs. You know, Zakk Wylde did love Dimebag. There's nothing bullshit to him saying that he's out here trying to fucking do a tribute to Dime. Charlie loved Vinny. You know, it all makes perfect sense to me. And I've seen the show, as I said. It's a great fucking show. There's nothing wrong with it. Go enjoy yourself. Thomas Chesser says, Phil and Rex are bums. This tour is just for money because they're probably broke. Phil and Rex quit Pantera in 01. Vinny and Dime are gone. This tour is blasphemy. Fuck Phil and Rex. I could see them having run out of money. It had been a long time since they had been cashing them big dick checks. So yeah, I mean, to say it's a cash grab, it's a sellout. Listen, you got to make a fucking living, especially as you get older. So anyways, next, Evangeline says, Phil Anselmo is a massive, unlikable edgelord meathead and probably a raging narcissist. But he's definitely not a Nazi or a racist of any kind. He's just really bad at jokes. Fair enough. Next, Crazy 8 Drums. What kind of putty are you that you are shocked at some vulgar display of imagery, but not shocked at the tremendous amount of Satan involved in music? Aren't you putties obsessed with anger and violence and mean-sounding music? Are you throwing a shit fit over this? Retarded.
Shut your goddamn ass up.
Why would I be concerned about the tremendous amount of Satan involved in music if I'm talking about hard rock and heavy metal? I am shocked and appalled at the lack of Satan in my current hard rock and heavy metal. I want more. But in 2024, let's try to kick up our production levels on Satan ass fucking music to 3-4x of our current output of satanic ass music. Next, Sam Hain says, you'd be surprised how many Mexicans are down with Pantera, pero puro pinche mosh pit, which is fucking right on, because I discovered Pantera when I was living down on the Texas-Mexico border. Some of my earliest Pantera memories of, you know, because on the border, you live essentially like you're a fucking adult from the time you're like 13, 14 years old. So I remember being out in the middle of fucking nowhere, out in the monte, as they say, you know, just being out there with my buddies, you know, pounding beers, smoking weed, all that shit. And Pantera coming on, and you just getting so fucking hype, looking at each other and be like, dude, let's go to fucking Mexico. Bam! Next thing you know, we're firing on down the fucking highway, blasting Far Beyond Driven. It was the soundtrack to most of the debauchery in my young life. And I'll end the Pantera / Phil comments with Chris Reese, who says, nobody should be judged by their color, but you're leaning real hard into the anti-racist shit in this video. Pull up your pants and wipe your lips off. Tyrone and his crew are finished with you, race baiter.
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass!
So, Chris, I'm assuming you didn't even watch the video, because had you watched it, then you would see that I was defending someone who had been accused of racism. If you did watch it, and this is still your take, then that tells me that your comprehension is so astonishingly low. To explain it to you is pointless. Clearly, you do not have even 2 fucking brain cells to rub together. And how do you know about Tyrone and my group sex sessions?
So fucking horny, dude!
Well then, dude, suck that shit!
Oh yeah!
If that's my preference, then that's what a motherfucker gonna do. But yes, thank you, Chris. Fucking continue listening, I guess.